Hey, crypto media friends! Happy New Year! Welcome to the first show back from the new year. Been a bit fun as the world turned, as we kind of talked about some of the great drops that happened for us over the holidays, and certainly a lot of excitement being pushed now into the NFT space because, as we talk about in the channel, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We're going for 1,000. Viewership slash crazy hair. Somebody said Ty Lopez. Oh boy, I think he'd be offended. But guys, it's not a bull market unless open seas is crashing consistently, and so that's what we have currently. A bull market happening in the NFT space. We know it just because of the volume that's happening and sort of the pricing of the floors and certainly the mints, and that's something that I was talking about as we sort of were transitioning. As soon as this dump of happened with the altcoin market and how the tax harvesting, now it's like a trending buzzword, right? You heard it here first, but obviously a lot of people knew about it and were doing it for the last time this year. Hopefully, as it was passed, the Biden administration has ended that as of the 31st of December. But I think that there's going to be a lot of stagnant markets in our future. I get a sense that we're all going to make it. And I think that Coinbase adding their leverage and certainly all those wallets into the space, but it's their curated space, so it's certain projects that are going to benefit from this. And so do your own research and find which ones those are, because that's the thing. I think that's already kind of built in a sense. I mean, if you look at Doodles, if you look at a lot of the ones that we talked about in terms of having cachet coming out of Art Basel, to where collectors could pay 25 to 40,000, because that's the sweet spot for art collectors, because you want to buy something for 25 and you want to sell it at 250. That's kind of the sort of not the standard, but the paradigm set by Banksy, if you will, in terms of how fast that turnover happened, where certain people went to shows, bought those, and like Christina Aguilera, and were able to sell relatively quickly for 10 times the amount. And so that type of understanding works well for art collectors, but I think we're going to see a lot of sideways movement. No FUD here, but I think there's a lot of these videos that are coming out that are educating us all about how to sell at the top and how to get out of positions. And I think the vogue of hodling may have kind of died a little bit with that past market, because a lot of people got hurt. I got hurt. Crazy, we all got hurt, thinking that we had really stacked full bags. And suddenly, they were a third of what they were within, weeks. And so having, that experience is traumatic, and you want to learn from those lessons. And a lot of the lead guys like Elio and Becker came out and said, sell. You got to sell. You got to make sure you sell. And, to some degree, that's a great rule. And I think that they're so powerful in sort of in what they say and having an echo to the entire community, that I think that mindset is going to be prevalent for this next coming cycle. And that means that those highs probably aren't going to get as high as they would. And, maybe that puts some downward pressure on the sales or because the sort of hodl and the delist mentality was the thing that was propping up. And we talked a lot about it, how that's articulated through discords, and how it's controlled through the pricing out into the open market by price manipulation, because these projects are small enough. There's only a few thousand of these, and all you have to do is get all the people that are listing to either delist or to list above only 1 ETH, and so you can manipulate the price to a strong degree. But that only happens with holding, and if you have people who are taking profits very quickly, not thinking it's going to go to 10 ETH, and they're like, happy 1 ETH, okay, I'm out, and I got to jump to the next one, you're going to get a lot of sideways turnover. And I think Rob Paul had a great sentiment in a video that he did, talking about like how the markets may suffer from this type of trading activity moving forward, and does that provide more secure marketplace for us? Perhaps, certainly, maybe a steadier one. Maybe we're about to find out. But I want to, no financial advice here, like ever. But just be careful, watch out for yourself. Obviously, take care of your loved ones, and so look at projects. And this is why I have this channel, why I do it live, because I think that this stuff is ever changing, and it's going to change tomorrow. And so please like, subscribe, hit the notifications as we go for 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully this year. That'd be amazing. It's a great goal to have. But love you guys joining. Some amazing people already watch this channel, and welcome. Hey, what's up, guys? Great to see you again. And I know you're famous and mucky mucks and powerful. You got like fat bags. Drop some of that knowledge for us here on the channel. Hit me up. Let's do some interviews. Let's chat. Let's collab. This is the year for it. A lot of projects in motion, but these things take time. And we're going to talk about one today called Fyat Lux that came together, I tell you, very fast. I've been watching this for a while, and they were smart to start their Discord right away, because I've been following it for what seems 2 months, and they've been developing it for 2 months. Fyat Lux. Now, let's not be offended that they only threw this together in 2 months. This is done by some very, very smart people, very experienced people who have been working for the last 2 months very hard, nonstop, to deliver on something. But I think that's the great part as well, is they seem committed to the future of it. So we're not just talking about a sweet drop with this art is fantastic, by the way, like with really refined art, and I think with Fyat you have funny name. I was like, are they playing with it? I understand. But let's just get a taste, because the reveal dropped today, and it's at a great price point right now. No financial advice, but I think take a look, because this is something that people weren't seeing in the drop. Like, I sat through the Discord and watched the reveal, and it's not the biggest Discord, so I feel like this is a relatively quiet launch. And so because I think if people understood what this is, it would be kind of near Mechaverse in terms of level, because I think that's what Mechaverse promised us. Mechaverse promised us these sweet, virtual things that were ready to go from day one. And I've been following the project because I felt it was just a bit overhyped and quite really wasn't up my alley in terms of a vibe, and so. But this has a lot of things going for it, and that's some really great art. But okay, let's just go over this, because this is the thing. These are the little nuggets that I was picking up on, is people are playing with the technology in AR that's been enabled by this team, a very talented team, and so people were buying, and they're like, oh yeah, I didn't get one with a neon background, and like some people were pissed. Like, F this, like, I didn't get a neon one, I never get the good rarities. And perhaps that may be true, but I was trying to implement a little discourse in there saying, well, if this project works out, you kind of don't care about the rarities like behind you, and so you just want like your avatar to be cool, because that's the thing that's going to translate into the metaverse. And so here's one person who just hours later was able to start to articulate it in a very cool way. And so they were experimenting with it, and let me widen this out for you a bit more. But you can see how they're doing it with VR chat and able to wear the skin as augmented reality. Augmented reality meaning, just the ability to overlay what we see. Currently, that's part of a video transmission reflecting, kind of what we should see, and then putting a skin on top of it, putting stats. Welcome those who used to play Pokemon. So this is astounding to me. Again, as I was seeing these bits, I was just like, okay, how are they doing this? By the way, MintyFreshVibes.ETH, hit me on the Twitter. I'm just firing up the Twitter. Again, MintyFreshVibe, at MintyFreshVibe, for collabs and outreach. I know it's been a little hard to get a hold of me. So I wanted to streamline that for you guys, because some people have like really, specific questions about this space that really could put them over, in terms of it helping to achieve, that artistic dream or that project or outreach, to somebody else who can, help. I think that's, an important part. So, MintyFreshVibes, .eth is the wallet, for all those who love droppings, and thank you very much for all those who did drop, tokens and NFTs last year. Thank you very much. Again, I streamlined that address to make it very simple, MintyFreshVibes.ETH, and then hit me up on Twitter, MintyFreshVibe. So, Fyat Lux, I think it's very interesting. I'm going to start backwards. I'm going to Tarantino this. We're going to go backwards through this because I want to start with the team, because I think this is how the team. I started doing much more research after some friends minted, and they had been with us for a long time, and hey guys, and like they were posting these bits, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. I just don't have the time to like sit here and figure out what it is that they're going to do with AR, and why is it that are they actually good with AR? I think was the most challenging part. And what I love here is you have a fully doxed team. They're just like, hey, this is us. This is what we do. These are my credentials. This is my Twitter handle that I've had for longer than 2 months. This is a team that is actual people, and actual people that you can make a bet on. And this team, as I was watching their interviews, that they had just released, because they really hadn't done much in terms of interviews until like, hey, we got to release this project, because they've been working hard for 2 months straight, just trying to like crank this project out. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but like, the hard work within that very limited time disallowed for a lot of understanding of who these people actually were. And I think that essentially what you had is Umar, Max Prime. He must have wrote like a movie, like back in the day. He created the world of Fyat Lux over a decade ago. So he's probably sitting in film school and he's just like, I'm going to do like the next Star Wars, man. And, he cranks out this screenplay and nobody wants to make it because, as we know, here in Hollywood, it's very hard to get such projects made without really substantial sci-fi, intellectual property, a novel or a comic book already established. So they're going to take it through this route, right? This is the great world of NFTs, is you can prove your concept here in this space. And so Umar decides to do that. He went to MIT and so founded an AR startup out of MIT. So it's like, okay, there's some sort of, AR credentials there. But also behind that, I think you're dealing with somebody who's very savvy with media. And so he's like, hey guys, through his his relationships at MIT, he connects with Jan-Erik Steele. And Jan-Erik is very experienced, like crazy experienced. Like as he was talking, I'm like, bloody hell, this guy has like so much fantastic, amazing experience at the cutting edge of properties that we love and grew up with, like Guitar Hero, Mario Kart. He did the and I think kind of began to coin this term here down here. You see groundbreaking phygital, physical digital, because you're creating the AR elements within the physical world. So you're just overlaying things. You're creating, as he did for Mario Kart Live, sitting in your living room. Driving is the screen. Is just like that's obviously the sort of the that video interface feedback. But you have this very savvy AR team, and they're like, hey, we need to, and out of MIT he grabs Christian. to help develop the tech. And so they're just like, okay, now we need an artist. And they reach out and they grab AJ. I believe his first name is Andrew, Robot Pencil. Is his handle that he goes by. AJ is kind of what he's termed as mostly. And so, this is somebody who's, again, through their network, they're just like, who's the best artist that we can get for this? And you can kind of look at the art that he has. And he did a quick sketch for a friend of mine. And it was just like, you could just tell, like, there is such, he's a really raw talent. And, he's worked for companies like Blizzard, Riot Games, Sony Santa Monica. That's a very interesting delineation, meaning post-production probably, in that sort of big lot that they have out there. Paramount, Fox, Netflix, Method Studios, Hasbro, and many more. So, again, these are the types of teams that I tend to gravitate towards because I understand sort of from the professional aspect. It's like people I can understand, people I can like track down, have a LinkedIn and sort of be like, oh yeah, these people know each other from here. At the very least, or we have friends in common, or at least I understand the motivations of what they're doing, much like nuclear nerds. It's just like that is a commercially, a team that understands the commercial viability of a product and can, potentially lead it into other areas outside of a PFP, because the PFP is just like the commercial. This is just like the phase one of, should be anyway, a phase one, especially if you're holding onto something of value accumulation, throughout gamification, throughout art, throughout just fat money, and in value, real, ETH value, if you will, that you could potentially liquidate if you needed to. And so, as a store of value to grow. And so, AJ actually, I think it was very humble of him. It was kind of like this humble brag where he got this very nice endorsement from people and the $69 million super artist of NFTs. And he didn't really share it beyond the Discord. I think he mentioned, because I think he was trying to like ask if he could get the endorsement, and people was like, yeah, man. He's like, I think, you're a fantastic artist. I've been, following you for a long time, and you guys are, the team is in good hands with this art director. And so when you have something like that, most, I think, would have ran to Twitter and, hashtag people everywhere so that all those looking at, NFTs in general might be honed in onto, this project. But they didn't share it wide. I thought it was very interesting and a very humble approach. Maybe not the most marketing savvy approach, because I think that's what's currently left to grow in this project. And I think that they'll probably bring on somebody, hopefully, that will address that, the marketing aspect to this. The launch, it was a fantastic launch in these times. This is really, they did a fantastic job. But to be fair, there's only about 8,000, 9,000. I mean, this cord keeps growing on me, but it wasn't like, it took 40 minutes to sell out. It wasn't, the heightened fervor of many that we've seen that sell out in 1 minute, 2 minutes. And so, again, this is not to say anything disparaging about this project, because I will have balanced views on anything that I look at. But I want to see improvements where there can be. And so this is what I think is great too, is that they have ostensibly, there's this, I'd say like a screenplay laying around, or this world that's laying around, that Umar has done. And so he set this thing thousands of years ago after an event called the Flux stopped all technology from working. Rare people called sparks are born with the ability to turn ancient technology from humanity's golden age, I guess is this now. On one side are the Fiat, a powerful religion whose spark enforcers restrict the use of this ancient technology. And then on the other side is the Lux, a small group of sparks who seek to unlock the secrets held by that same technology. I thought an epic saga is about to unfold across the metaverse in the physical world. So I thought I was like, are we all the Luxes and we got the power? But there was it was interesting, to have the Fiats be those that were sort of anti-technology and represented in the collection. So it seemed about a 50-50 split when I saw it. People definitely gravitated toward the Luxes because the Luxes seem to have more light emanating from them. But it was an interesting delineation as they're creating a world and they're also creating sides and they're creating factions and they're creating conflict within their storyline. And this is probably one of the best and most well prepared in terms of properties that has a storyline, that has a throughput, that has these things that this storyline that you can see play out across a lot of different elements within games, within etc. So this seems like really well poised for success. And so when these elements started dropping, you're like, okay, we've seen this, with Hape, and so we've seen this with Hate Beast, and it's a very, you're like, oh, okay, like I get it, and there's a skin action here, but it's just like they've delivered it, and it's like ready to go, and I think that's like absolutely incredible. And then here you have the AR elements, where this card is, I don't know how they're going to control this in the secondary market, but they're going to do a snapshot, and then if you have it, it's going to represent, access cards through the thing. I don't know how it's going to be articulated, but I know it's going to be articulated well because of the team involved. We're dealing with people who understand, how to bring the fun into a project like this, and so it's exciting to see this step into the physical. So a lot of really interesting elements. Kicked off about 8,080 unique sparks. These 3D characters can be used to generate profile pictures. I thought it was really cool and interesting. Let me show you. There's like a snapshot of one. Let's do this guy. I don't know if it's gonna load. I apologize if it's gonna take a gajillion years because OpenSeas actually has been down. I might be surprised if I'd be able to get it. But anywho, you can grab this and you see how they're all articulated in these photos in very different ways. Well, they're being kind of caught off guard in these pre-posed areas and elements because you can grab them. They're 3D models, and so you can grab them in their pose, and you can my guy has like a finger out, and so I can kind of compose them to put the finger here, and then take a snapshot and create a PFP of my choosing from an angle of my choosing. And so I thought that was, again, interesting. You're like, oh, okay, this is different. This is sort of unique. It's sort of like the helmets again with the 3D that we went over, but from the MTA. But I think that you have here again a rigged 3D model, and it's not going to load for us today, is it? But I think you can start to get an idea from what people are using it with to understand okay, you have a really nice sculpted 3D asset, and here's again no FUD, but here's sort of where it gets real. During that drop, when you see a lot of these, you're like, holy cow! you see this Anubis looking one with the the cool logo, and I heard the artist call a lot of the word quote unquote God mode, when you're trying to achieve sort of epic status and all these things. And so I think it's very interesting how the reactions were, because as we talk a lot about the reveal stage being a really great time to get in on one, and I think right now might be another really fantastic time because it just revealed, and it was just there was a slight dip, and I think that slight dip was due to the fact that it had an attenuation within the artwork. And here's where philosophically I didn't quite agree with what I was hearing in the interview with the artist, and I think that the team, again, no fun, but they decided that they were going to have levels of this collection, and so they were going to deck out like certain ones, and then they were going to kind of have some sparser ones or ones that weren't quote unquote God mode. And I know this is really hard to articulate, but as creators, I think we need to address this because it was tough to see people all put in for the same money. It became a gamble on who got rares, and it became a gamble for who got very specific rarities, and sort of leaving the rest out cold in a sense. And so the ones that didn't have these the neon, like right, you can see the green here, the neon guy behind him. If they didn't have those elements, you felt a bit shortchanged, really. And if you felt like, oh, I just got a common, it's like open a pack of baseball cards and you get a common. I don't think you can do that at these prices. Like, I don't think you can do that for 0.125 mint. That's a lot of money for mint, and I know a lot of work goes into that. And again, kudos to them. This is an amazing project, but for me, speaking, as an artist and as somebody who wants to create more and more into this space, that's something that doesn't jive with me. I think that it's beautiful when the rarities combine and are expressed in those randomized ways. Like you have the green, front here, peace sign, and like maybe the green behind, and you also have this green cast, on the character. That's how I got Minty Fresh Vibes. That's how I got my first, tar from Vogu. It was just like these amazing traits were kind of combined to create something that was very different and unique within the collection, and still, was every bit a part of the collection. And I think that when you have something like that, then you have like subsets of like, oh well, these are the ninja guys, or these are the ones that look like the Green Goblin here, or these are the ones that look like Ryan Reynolds wearing a Hawkeye from the '80s mask. So you have these things that you can begin to subgenreize that we as collectors will do. As part of people flipping to sell. Oh, this is the lowest floor of Green Goblin, or this is and so we'll make those things. We just don't need artists and teams telling us what we can and can't have. I feel that would be my approach, and it just didn't jive with me that they were attenuating based upon that, because again, this is my reflection of it and my interpretation of what happened. But I saw a lot of pissed off people. If you have a thing of 8,000 and only maybe 4,000 are getting like the really good ones, only 1,000 are getting the really really good ones, and you got 4,000 commons. This isn't the case here. I think it's hard to find a really bad one, honestly, in this collection, and we can browse through. I think there are just so many, and the color combinations are just really fantastic, very modern, and I think it's just a super great collection. And so, but within these, I think you can find some value, but I think by attenuating the bells and whistles in search of rarity value, by taking them away, I don't know, for me, that doesn't jive. I personally would, work with the team. They didn't have much time, but I think that maybe that's where the time thing comes in, and why I'm working on the projects that I am working on in such a long term, to try and affect certain areas where I think value shouldn't be taken from the collectors, and you just have a common now, and build off of that value. And I feel it should be a bit more equitable, because we'll subgenreize these, and it's and so I began to look at this, and I think that you should too, because that's part of probably the internal talk. Is you had a lot of people who were like, "Where's my neon behind me?" There's like the ones I just showed on this collection. Where's my thing, my dope neon stuff? And I was just like, well, if these are truly avatars, we kind of don't need them. And so I think the leaning on the value of certain rarities to me became an absolute moot point. I was like, no, guys, you need to look at like what's on the avatars. That's where the value is. That's where the translation of value and utility is going to be. A lot of people are like to speculate. Those hoverboard ones got snapped up so quick. I think you can see it here. Like, there's some that have hoverboards. It's not a huge rarity. There's something like 8% that have it, but it's just cool. And so a lot of people are like, oh, maybe you could ride it. I don't think they have that planned anytime in the near future. But I think it definitely got in their head as to, what it, the imagination that it inspires. And so I really love these faces, these like painted on faces. That's a trait. And it's a trait that's also randomized within the trait. So, I think you get sort of, you'll have to, this is the, one of 5 clowny faces. And, so it's way more rare. And indeed it is. And so, but what I think is super dope is seeing that in a 3D articulation. I'm sorry, I can't show it. I'll try clicking on it again. But like having that articulated and seen in a 3D space is very exciting, is very cool. And I'm sure it's really hard to do. So I think that this team has a really fantastic artist, and they found, and they have the tech side, and so it's just like these really amazing elements put together. A tech team that has the experience, that can really provide the value and fun of taking this idea of an NFT into the phygital space, into the AR space. And I think that not only that, but they have like this great storyteller, who's clearly super smart, and wants to bring this story of the Sparks, the Luxes versus the Fyats into the world. And so this is a great proof of concept kind of NFT. This is one that, much like Nuclear Nerds, you can really kind of tell they're really aiming for a big intellectual property play here. And for me, that says volumes for valuation, for goals. It's not a group that's going to be like, oh, hey, we made $3 million, we're out. These guys have been working with a lot more money. These guys have seen budgets that they've played with and worked with, and this is probably a small indie project that they're working on. And so they're looking to create value because they understand the value as IP and as it becomes an ever-evolving subgenre of NFTs where you have this incredible value. And this team is, again, do your own research and never any financial advice here, but I think this is a great one to look into. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification, because I don't think you get any of this if you don't hit that bell notification. You'll get it 6 months from now as you're searching and you're like, Phygital? What is Phygital? Maybe I should put that in the search comments. Because suddenly it's going to be a subgenre, and suddenly it's going to be a narrative that, Elio Trades is like, oh, Phygital. It's just like ZK Rollups was behind us. Now it's Phygital. And, as those narratives take place, this is probably the first well-executed version of this. And I call it the first because I think this is the first well-executed version of this that I've seen. And it's not going to stop. Like, they're going to continually build value, I think, on top of this, because you can see the groundwork being laid, and you can look at the team involved here. And so I wouldn't hesitate to look at this in a serious manner as the first NFT brought into the AR space on launch, on mint, and, like as I said, allows you to, with these tools, to jump right into the space and experience it for yourself as an AR skin. So subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you guys